The Longevity Lounge is proudly brought to you by AIA Australia, dedicated to helping Australians live healthier, longer, better lives. Welcome to the Longevity Lounge, where we dive deep into the science and stories behind living younger for longer. In this episode, Leachy sits down with none other than fitness industry legend Shannon Ponton. You might know him from his time transforming lives on The Biggest Loser, but today we go well beyond the TV screen. We chat all things health, fitness and longevity, from the latest trends in training and recovery to powerful behind-the-scenes stories from his time on the show. Shannon brings raw honesty, plenty of laughs, and years of hard-earned wisdom to the table. Whether you're a long-time fan or just keen to live a healthier, stronger life, this one is definitely for you.
Shannon, welcome to the lounge. Good to be here. We've got over the technical issues that have been plaguing us.
We have. We're not going to cut short the actual podcast, though. We normally have Carl the Professor Treacher, but he's away at the moment, so, mate, I'm running solo. It might be for the best. Where it went wrong. It might be for the best. You haven't got the Professor on. Now, mate, long career. For me, you're like the ultimate personal trainer. Well, if I think of personal trainers, I think of you first because you've been around forever, and people listening or watching would know you from The Biggest Loser. So I thought we'd go back to that start there. I did a little bit of research this morning and saw that you came on in the second season of The Biggest Loser. Give us the background on that.
Yeah, 2006 that was, and 11 seasons with you, which was incredible. You know, when we first started, here's this show, we're up against So You Think You Can Dance, we're up against Big Brother. Each one of those had a half-life of about 3 or 4 years, you know. So we thought, if we can get 3 or 4 years out of this, we'll be right. And the longevity was incredible. It just kept ticking over and over and over. So 2006 was our first year. Last year for me was on 2011. 2017.
It went 11 years, didn't it?
Yeah.
And was the highest rated show for a long time too.
Yeah, in its heyday, it was getting over 1 million viewers per night, every night. And then, you know, the finales and things like that were doing 2.4s.
So the audition process, there would have been every man and his dog would have turned up to have a crack at being a trainer on the show. How did that work for you?
It would have been the pinnacle at the time. And as you said, I'd sort of been in the industry my whole life. I started in 91 as a professional fitness instructor after suffering a couple of shoulder reconstructions and things like that, playing rugby league for North Sydney Bears. I was still contracted. So they said, mate, you can either lose your contract or we'll put you on the strength and conditioning coach. And that was the only life I knew. Like, I didn't know another life. I didn't know any other boys. I didn't know anything else. And I could still, in a way, prove my worth by being super fit and super strong. You know what it's like when you're at the top of your athleticism and people laud you for your performance. If you're playing a great game of football, you have a good Ironman race, and you get used to that. And when that's taken away, all of a sudden, and I can imagine when professional athletes retire, how it happens to them as well. I had that stripped away, and all that I knew was fitness and strength and rugby league. And I realised quite quickly, if I was extra fit and extra strong, people would say, mate, you're doing a great job at this. So I threw myself wholeheartedly into it. And by the time I was, 20 years old, I was doing strength and conditioning for the first grade rugby league at North Sydney Bears. Then went on to go to the Fijian Super League as a strength and conditioning coach. Did the World Cup in 96. And that was, by that stage, I was only 23. And then I thought, right, there's a big bag world out of there. Commercial gyms. There was no personal training.
Personal training at the start.
Personal training wasn't a thing. Wasn't a thing. You could be a gym instructor on the gym and get paid $15.50 an hour, or you could teach a class.
Yeah,
$35.
That was it.
45 minutes.
That was what the level of being a trainer was.
Yeah, except there was one problem. I was uncaved. Yeah. I was so bad. 2 left feet. I'd go into classes and people would literally laugh at me at the back of the class so badly with my uncut arms and legs going everywhere. Left was right, right was left, back was forward. It was horrendous.
Here comes Shannon.
To stay away. There's this big circle around me that people wanted to stay around. But I realised, mate, if I was going to make a career out of this, I needed to learn. And I, luckily enough at the time had it. I guess the quintessential gym instructor had a girlfriend who was an aerobics instructor at the time. So cliche. And she was excellent, mate. She taught me how to click my fingers to the beat. And then I'd learn the music and then learn the moves, and just really through dogged determination over a long period honest. I was so bad, mate.
And when did the Biggest Loser call come up? How did you find out about that?
Well, we'd sort of already, by that stage, I'd been in the fitness industry for about 15 years and learned everything on the way through.
Yeah, right.
You know, I was a pump instructor, trainer. I was delivering workshops on aerobics, was delivering workshops through step and that sort of stuff. So already, and Michelle the same token, we'd both sort of made our way to the top of the fitness industry with a lot of other people, but we're already there.
Yeah.
So we had auditions.
Because it's one thing being good at being a trainer. It's another thing being good on television in front of a camera, right?
Yeah.
So that process would have been a little bit different.
And being able to relate what's going in your mind to articulate that so people can understand your thought process and understand where you're going with it is the real skill. Having an empathy when I'm talking to a morbidly obese client who's 150, 160, 220 kilos, which I've never been, but I need to have an understanding of where they're coming from and get into their soul, you know, and that was part of the skill.
And did you have to do pieces to camera and there was a lot of other trainers turn up? And yeah, it was then you found out that you were down to the last X amount, maybe, or
I
something.
reckon there was hundreds the first couple of times. We had to teach a fitness routine and we did camera tests and, you know, I'm sure we made a lot of mistakes on the way through. But then we'd turn up and there'd be 20 and they go, right, it's the last 20. We're going to cull back to 8. And then we'd turn up to the next audition and there'd be 24. We said, mate, you told us we're cutting down here. We're going the wrong way. I'm sorry, my maths isn't as good as I thought it was, but last time it was 20. We're back to 24. But they were just bringing trainers in from everywhere. We had trainers from Hong Kong, from Singapore, and people that came in to bolster those ranks to get the people that they wanted.
Yeah, right. And so when you got the gig, you still didn't know whether the show was going to be successful.
No, definitely not.
No.
It was something so different. And, you know, it had done good things in America. But, you know, as I said before, we were up against such tough competition at the time. You know, there was So You Think You Can Dance, Australian Idol, Big Brother was on there. And each one of those was
Big shows.
big offers, mate, big franchises with a lot of money behind them, you know, multinationals. And it's quite a weird thing. I don't know if you've ever noticed, it's something that I sort of learned on the way through. It's almost like a sword fight between networks where they throw their biggest show at their biggest show.
Sure.
And then the other network
Boxing
throws
just at prime time, it's the main fight.
a big sword fight. You know,
It's like the heavyweight boxing fight.
and a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And then there's so many amazing shows on the way through, fell by the wayside, but only because in my mind they were thrown to the slaughter.
So the question is, why did the Biggest Loser jump over the top of those shows? What do you think it was?
You know, I think
Was it a timing thing?
I feel like
That time of life?
mate, I think it was a timing thing.
Mm.
I look back now and I quite often watch Biggest Loser with my kids. You know, they love fitness and they've never seen dad on TV. You know, they're 7, 10 and 12. You know, I'm going for the blue team and I hope this happens and I don't like that person and they're involved. And I think that's wonderful, you know. At the time, I think Australia were watching it for two main reasons. One was the fishbowl, where people want to stand on the outside and look into the fishbowl and go, shit, I feel good about myself today.
All right.
A little bit like when I watch maths now. And sorry, mate, no matter what's happened during the day, mate, I'm winning on so many levels today.
So, probably, you know what, mate? It's all good. It's a car crash. The way my says, I'm going great.
So I think the same sort of thing. I think, you know, there was, and there still is, but 78% of Australians are now overweight or obese. We're not going the right way.
But could you do the show now? But
Often
you wouldn't be allowed to, would you? Like, the way the sentiment is, you just,
the woke agenda has killed what is right in what we're doing in The Biggest Loser. I spent 34 years of my life as a trainer trying to help people become fit, healthy, yet someone will watch that show and go, how dare Shannon speak like that to those people? What do you mean those people? What are you talking about? They're my friends. My words are trying to encourage and trying to get them better, but all of a sudden now everyone's just got to tread on eggshells.
I suppose when you're doing the show too, like you're only getting 50 odd minutes with ads of an hour show, but you're spending a whole week with them leading in and they're cutting up to produce a show. So you're becoming a lot more friendly with these people than what they're just seeing on television. But there's background to it.
Mate, I think everything, how I was portrayed in that show was me.
Yeah.
And it was never perfect. There's imperfections in what I do, but I'm comfortable with the sentiment of what I was doing and why I was doing it. As I said, I was watching one with the kids the other week, and one of my contestants went down and goes, "Oh, I'm not getting up." And I went, "Yes, you are." And I got under her arms and I picked her up and got her going. But not to try and hurt her, not to try and embarrass her, but to try and get her back moving, to get her life. In that one moment, she could have let herself down. So I just don't know if things like that would pass at the moment.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
No, that's not the producer saying, "Jump in, Shannon." Go.
Man,
No.
that was my heart and soul.
Yeah.
You know, we come up now against dietitians and things like that. We got to have a relationship with food. You don't have a relationship with food. You eat food. I eat food. I have a relationship with my wife. I have a relationship with my kids, and all those people around me is a relationship. I eat food. What are you talking about? Have a relationship with food. You know, but you can't say count the calories because but that might adversely affect your relationship with food. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I know.
Well, you haven't. Seems like you haven't changed. Like, so what I see and what I know of you, you're still the same person that's gone through the times. Like the show hasn't affected you. You're still the same Shannon, which is great. And that's why I look at you and think he's a personal trainer. Like, he's the same bloke doing the same stuff, even though we've gone from aerobics in the 80s, that was called fitness, and then it became wellness, and now it's longevity. All these terms that come up, you're still doing the same stuff.
Yeah, I think there's and there's a myriad of trains that have come through in that time. You know, I've been an aerobics instructor, a step instructor, a pump instructor, a new body instructor, an ABT instructor.
Don't even know what that is.
Abs, bums, and thighs. That was good for a teacher. Like, you could get abs, bums, and thighs. You either had the choice of bashing your body around teaching body attack for an hour, or you could do an ABT for 20 minutes. That was the grouse.
Yeah.
But I know what I do works. You need to be adaptable. You need to move with the times as you come through. As you said, you know, when I first started, it was all about big hair and step classes and new body and light weights and little shorts. Yeah. You know, there's a photo of me in a unitard somewhere floating around. You want a unitard? I do, okay. Yeah. Like your own life-saving. You know, when you see embarrassing. But, you know, but saying that I've always stayed the same, but I have adapted with the times.
Yeah.
So we went from aerobics to pump. Yes, I was there. We went from pump, but in the meantime, I still maintained the subculture that I knew which worked and the ethics that I knew. And each time something new came into play, I assessed it, I cast my mind over it, and decided whether I needed to adapt and go with that, or whether it went against my fundamental principles, which I know actually work, which may or may not be so palatable at the time. You know, I was always because I was into strength and conditioning, we're always into lifting heavy weights. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, it was all about litigation. And everyone that went to the gyms was on those hammer strength machines and things like that to replace weights.
Yeah, well,
because they were scared of litigation. They were so scared of litigation. Yeah. So virtually every workout in your gym was done in a circuit and had 50,000 different types of circuit machines.
Yeah, cost you a lot of money.
They cost a lot of money that weren't that effective. You know, in the meantime, I maintained strength and conditioning, clean and presses and snatches and things like that we did with the rugby league players. Boom, then all of a sudden, CrossFit's here.
Yeah.
Which was done a full circle from our strength and conditioning through the machines back. You know, CrossFit's been incredible.
Yeah.
But so in my mind, I've always been open-minded and adapted, but not deviating from what I know that works because of peer pressure. That's the thing, I think. And that's authenticity, you know. I've always stayed true to what I believe.
You're in your 50s now, right?
Yeah, 52 this year.
Yep. And you've been in the game since 91, since you were basically a teenager.
Yeah, 17. First year as a fitness professional was 17.
So if I go back and if there were three things that you could say in the industry that hasn't changed, as far as what you believe are the importance for someone wanting to get fit, stay fit and healthy, can you think about what they would be, those three things?
Straight off with any thought with it. So
thought.
Yeah, with suck felt, that'd be good. Straight off the top of my ever decreasing brain matter. Straight away, calories in, calories out. There is still no better equation for body fat loss than calories in, calories out.
Yep. So that's the balance sheet, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't lie, does it?
It doesn't.
No.
It's like it works every time, and people are going to argue and just go, shut up.
People like to create marketing words and systems and things around it to make money.
And I'll think of a couple of examples. There was not too many diggers that came off the Burma Thai Railway that were overweight.
Yeah.
I understand it's a little bit of a macabre way to look at it, but in essence, it's pure. Not one of those guys, those poor bloody Aussie diggers that came off the Burma Thai Railway said, mate, I've got different genes than you. I've got a different blood type. I've got the fat gene. Every single one of those poor blokes
Manual labour and
was
calories.
was emaciated because they weren't eating and they were working.
Yeah.
There's not one exception. It's the same as the human race now. If you don't eat too much and you move, no matter who you are, you will lose body fat and you will lose body weight. You know, so many people are going to argue with me and go, no, it's not that simple. It really is.
There's no arguments to me. The irony is that from a longevity point of view, people that are leaner naturally live longer, right? So if you want to live longer on this earth, if the leaner you to a point that you can be, the better.
And it's not only the leanness, it's the health benefits underneath that.
Of course.
So you're lean because you're exercising and you're eating a healthy diet. So those three things, the leanness, the healthy diet, and the activity are the contributing factors to a longer life.
Yeah.
So you need those three components. Number two would be strength training's imperative, and that's never changed.
Yeah. And is that, they say now, the Peter Attias and the like say, if you're over 40, your strength and your muscle on your body decreases at a higher rate when you get older. So do you believe that, and do you think, or is it something you should be doing all the way through?
I think it's something you should be doing all the way through, but my ideas on strength training has changed. Now, and I'm still strength training 3 times a week. Now we're all about mobility and functionality rather than dumping in and doing all those machines. I'd much rather my clients doing a free squat than a leg press.
Yes.
The reason being,
You're not going to do a leg press in real life.
A vertical load through that squat will load your spine and pelvis, which in particular are the areas that are open and more prone to osteoporosis and things like that.
And also they're moves that you do in everyday life, right?
That's
Because you can get good and strong at something that you do by bending over and picking something up, picking your child up or your grandchild or something. They're all moves that are just, you could do on a weekly basis.
It's functional. So you've got to remember, our body is a stimulus response machine. You give it stimulus, your body will respond to that stimulus and overcompensate. That's why when you run, you get better at running, because your body's been given a stimulus. Your body then overcompensates. It increases the amount of hemoglobin you have. It increases the stroke volume of your heart. It increases your ability to bind oxygen in your blood. So that's you getting fitter because you've given it stimulus. In your strength training, you give your bones stimulus. They're being stressed vertically. Your body then overcompensates and starts to build those bones and rebuild those bones as long as it's got the correct nutrition to help them get strong. So not with everyone, and I know you've got to try and include everyone, but for most people, strength training can slow, stop, and or reverse osteoporosis,
which is huge for the 80 population.
Imperative.
Number 3,
cardio training is essential as well.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? So I do look at the so-called, internet experts out there, social media experts that bang on about, strength training's it, but there's got to be a blend between keeping your heart healthy, cardio work, and being strong as well. Like the perfect the perfect body is someone that's fit with the heart and got strength in the body.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you take a scientific standpoint, you can draw positives from all those modalities of training, but each one by itself, there's no need to go, right, just do strength training. There's different responses that you get from your cardiovascular training that you don't get from strength training, whether people are going to argue or not. And there's different physiological adaptations you get from strength training that you just will not get from cardio. So a blend of both is undoubtedly the best thing. You see these CrossFit athletes are incredible. The output that they can do, and their bodies are always great. But that's just another mobility of saying, here, this is varied functional training.
for someone who's 65 years of age and is listening to this and hasn't exercised much before, CrossFit would seem pretty extreme, wouldn't it?
Huge. And I believe, there's a massive curve in the risk to benefit ratio of doing CrossFit.
Because for me, like on that, my training at 61 years of age is different to what it was when I was 41, in that I train now to not be put on the sidelines through injury and doing things that could mean that I can't do what I want to do because I break down. And as you get older, you've got more chance, to have that happen. So being mindful around that's important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I won't do that sort of stuff either now because it's functionally not correct for my body. It doesn't offer me the best result.
And for your age too, right? Yeah, it's just based on your journey.
Yeah. So now my training, rather than having a six-pack and great big guns, which it was for most of my life, is now about being able to maintain functionality and being able to move with my kids.
Yeah.
I coach my son who's in under 9s. I coach my son who's in under 12, and I still coach the local A-grade rugby leagues team. Yeah. So for me, being able to run with them and sprint and pass the ball and kick the ball and serve and scooter and skate and everything that they do, I still do with them.
Because you want to do that, right?
For as long as I can.
So you're training, you're trudging around wanting to do that. I know you trained Lane Beaksley this morning, 7 times world surfing champion. And so her training wouldn't be what she was doing when she was trying to win a world surfing title.
No, definitely not. And she's the same. There's some collateral damage from her training that we need to address where, I said, mate, what's going on with your shoulder? She had the wipe out at Chialpo when she won the contest. Have you seen that? Chialpo?
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you the other day we had big waves here in Sydney. I went, mate, I'm not going out in that.
I don't even call that a weight.
It's the sticks full of what she's done.
It's madness, isn't it?
It's for me to look at her body and then go, right, we need to square this up. So now it's not about, maximum speed or maximum pop-up. At the moment, we're in recovery phase and trying to consolidate everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So we can then go back to building.
Yeah.
So, my ethos with training her at the moment is about consolidation, stabilization, repairing years of damage and trauma, and then rebuilding again. So we're definitely going forward, and we're definitely not taking a cautious approach. Well, not cautious, but like a
strategic.
Yeah, strategic. We just got to consolidate first before we go.
Let me just go back because I'm interested, because when you're training the Manly first grade, Lane Beachley, and other people you've got that want to turn up and train with you, go back to The Biggest Loser, and people perceive a personal trainer to be a fitness trainer that can get you strong, get you fit, but the mental side of trying to connect with your client had never been more obvious back when you're doing The Biggest Loser, because these people were massively overweight, not motivated, not focused, and it was your job to not just lose the weight off of them, but connect with them and try to change their mentality so that when they left the show, they were going to keep it on. What was that like?
Yeah, that was, something that up until that stage, I hadn't worked with any people that were as big as our contestants. Remember, our biggest one was 254 kilos. Mm-hmm. Who could forget Big Kev? From there, we
can't picture him now. I can't picture. Yeah, but walking would have been an effort for it.
Everything that we were trying to instill into these contestants was absolutely foreign. Nutrition was a foreign thing. Movement was a foreign thing.
Exercise was not even a thought.
Not even something they thought of. No. Contrary to popular belief, you just don't wake up one day and you're morbidly obese. It takes a concerted, negative effort for a very long period of time to make your body look that way.
Yeah.
It's hard. You've got to jam a lot of calories.
Build up some big time habits that have been going on for a long time. Yeah. But you didn't go to university and do psychology, right? You're not a psych, but you have to be.
The University of Life.
Yeah, you have to be
there, and you have an empathy. I think that's part of the.
You've got to work out how you can get around that piece, which is the 6 inches between their ears, to go and try to make a change that way.
Part of the success I think I've had as a trainer is the empathy and being able to understand people.
Yeah, and connect.
I learned very early in my Biggest Loser career not to judge people as to why they were the way they were. So it still gets me now. Some of the girls we'd spoken to and had said it's a protection mechanism. I said, what do you mean a protection mechanism? And they said, I realised if I was out with my girlfriends and I was the biggest, heaviest, and most unattractive, I'd be most unlikely to be picked on. People had been picked on early in life had used body weight as a defense mechanism.
Yeah, okay.
So for me then, it was a matter of getting inside their head and listening to them. Mate, how's your day-to-day life? Oh, it's fine, really. When was the last time we went to the movies? Well, what do you mean? Well, how did you feel walking through that small gap to get to your movie seat? I didn't walk past. Okay, let's use another one. How was it like last time you got on a plane?
I was going to say.
And you had to squeeze past someone on a plane, and then you put your...
you're sitting next to someone.
And you put your 155 kilo frame down into a seat. You know the people next to you are going.
And part of it's going into their seat over into the armrest.
It's uncomfortable. How did you feel when the other... And that's every day parents are playing with their kids and you're sitting on your phone slowly.
Yeah.
So once you can identify that discomfort and the pain that's associated with that, we can start to balance it up again. Listen, if you just do this for me to start, today, eat exactly this that I tell you. Plus, walk here, do that. That pain is going to start to be minimized because we're going to start to get your body moving.
But now you're not talking like a personal trainer. Now you're talking like a life coach, right?
Well, it is a similar thing. It's really life coach.
Fascinating. So it's fascinating because you were signed up, and Michelle and Commando and a couple of others, you were signed up to be the fitness trainer. But really what you are, because these people are so big, you're not taking a footy team and trying to increase their performance by 1%.
Yeah.
You're trying to turn their life around from something that's completely and utterly devoid of what you're used to and try to get them over to your side. And it's more mental than anything else.
Yeah, in a way, it's an addiction. The food is an addiction. The food is their coping mechanism. A lot of people will deal with trauma by eating. They have a bad night and they go, I don't care, I'm going to eat. Relationship with their partner. If you don't love me because I'm 120 kilos, wait till I'm 130 kilos. And this sentiment goes behind. And it's an addiction. It's an addictive personality. So there's a very similar thought pattern or behavioral pattern goes with alcohol and goes with growth. So it's the same sort of rationale and understanding of addiction. There's a certain amount of deceit that goes along with it, the amount of people that were hiding eating from their family, the amount of lies that we were told that people, I wasn't eating, I promise. Did you know that hidden camera that we've got up that showed you last night going to the fridge at such and such and such and such? So there's a lot of deceit around it, and letting people understand that there's an addiction there allows you then to work with it. Right. And yeah, it is something, that it's a finely honed skill now for me after 34 years as a trainer.
Would have taught you so much.
And working with professionals. We got psychologists there, we've got counselors there, we've got nutritionists there, we've got dietitians there that we're constantly asking, what about this? What about that? Is this too far? Is this too much? And we're being schooled by a panel of experts, which, gave us unprecedented access as a personal trainer to these people, which then allowed us to hone our skills in those situations.
What about on the show, and you've got your team versus Michelle's and Commando's, any one or two moments that come to mind where it got a bit ugly? Was there any times where they turned the cameras?
Yeah, when those two struck up their relationship, it was all gloves off, mate. That was horrific. Yeah, right. It was the most uncomfortable working environment I've ever been in. And I'll never forget that night. There was my blue team.
Yeah.
There was the red team, Michelle's, and Steve's black team. And we had a vote, and my guys had done everything right. And then, of course, all of a sudden it ended up those two. Everyone's team goes to a vote, and they had the numbers, and I just knew
ganging up against you.
Ganging up, mate.
Because they were together.
And it was 2 against 1.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it.
No logic.
This has got no logic behind it. There's no rationale. You two are in a relationship. You're driving home in the afternoon. You're never going to get your team to vote one of my team out.
You win that, yeah.
I think they might have, really. I think they might have. That might have been the Westerners. I think
that was a good getting up over the top of the other two there.
Yeah, I think that was the Westerners from memory.
Yeah, right. Well, I suppose it all blends in, doesn't it? When you've been doing it for 11 years.
Yeah, there's lots of winners and then lots of years, and it's a long time ago now, 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
have to really think hard to think back.
Let's go to you now. So you're 52 years of age. You're in good nick.
51, mate.
Sorry,
52 this year. If over here.
51. We've got 10 years difference on us, you and I. What, tell me some of your non-negotiables, things that you do that people at home can understand that for your health and for your feeling of, feeling strong and all those things you spoke about when you were younger that you liked, right? That you grabbed hold of. What are the things that you still do today in a week basis?
So, mate, one of the biggest changes I've made is I don't drink during the week anymore at all. I still love a beer on the weekend. I drink plenty. But Monday to Thursday, no alcohol. For a while, I fell into that trap of just coming home and going, oh, I've had a big day. And I only drink mid-strength beer. I don't ever drink full strength. Because drunk 51-year-old Shannon's nowhere near as funny as drunk 25-year-old Shannon was. I just repeat the same shit anyway. So I don't really have that much joy in getting drunk anymore, but I love a beer. But during the week, Monday to Thursday, I don't drink at all. I found that as one of the biggest changes I've ever made. Better quality sleep, clearer,
Next more
mind, better cognition of what's going on, better memory. So that's one of the first things.
Probably, and also you get that feeling of something to look forward to on the weekend. It's a reward, right?
Yeah, of course. So that's one of the biggest changes I've made. The other thing is I always pride myself on just not letting that weakness in of going backwards. So, it's March now. I still do the conditioning for the local A-grade team, the Harbour Devils. And I got to the start this year and I went, shit, have I got one more pre-season effort in me? The boys are probably 19 to 26 years old. And I do it all with them. Yeah. So I do the sprints and I turn up and I've always got that option in the back of my mind going, I'll just do 8 and then I'll time them for the last 2. No one will say,
I'll tap out.
And
I won't do all of it.
And I go, shut the hell up, mate. You can do it. Going, we've got this. Once that weakness creeps in.
Would that mean you go on coaching? Or you're like, there's got to be some point, because you obviously love rugby league and that's your background, right? So it'd be a great feeling for you to be involved with footy teams. But there's got to be some point, if you wanted to do that when you're my age still, that, maybe you're not going to be doing all this.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Then the physicality, when that time comes, mate, I'll be at peace with it. I know there's not.
Would you still coach?
Yeah, I'd still do the conditioning, but I will have to do it. Yeah, I can just.
Bellamy was like that down in Melbourne. Bellamy was like, and so was Wayne Bennett. They do all the running with the footy teams. And it was historical that Wayne Bennett, when he was younger, could outrun them over 3K.
Yeah.
And in Melbourne, Bellamy was like, he would bust himself and bleed. So then when the players went on the field, they're like, mate, our coach has just bled with us in training.
Yeah.
So there's obviously power in that, right? So you as a coach, as a trainer, doing it with them, they're looking at you go, geez, he's 51 and
doing it. It works a treat. Yeah, it works a treat. So but there will be a point. I just can't see it on the radar yet. At each year I turn up and I go, just got to drag your little ass. Doesn't work.
You saw me about a month ago and you just come from training with Darley Tree Evans and a couple of boys. And I do remember and laugh now. You went, I took him up the hill.
Got the hill, yeah. That little bastard. He's 36, mate, the oldest player in the NRL.
You little shit, I'm 51 and I took you up the hill. He played all right the weekend.
Because he's a bit older and got a better training age, he doesn't have to go back to the pre-season when everyone else goes back.
Yeah.
But he's tough as it. He doesn't want to start on the back foot. So he comes and trains with me in the garage and that. Yeah. So we do.
He does the extras.
He does the extras.
Yeah. And you can see that first.
We do crazy things. Like we do sprints, snatches, and then burpees or whatever. So we're absolutely gassed. And I've got this nasty hill, Leachy, from out my garage as upper hill, upper floor steps, upper few steps to the top.
I know the one.
And we took off and I was running behind him. And we got to the top and he goes, mate, I could hear you breathing down my neck. And I went, I'm half a chance here. If I give it everything I've got, I'll get him. So we did the same routine and we took off up the hill and we got there and then bang, I was in front of him and could still get him up to the top. In a straight line run, I've got no chance.
He looks like he's still got some speed over 10 or 20 metres.
Excellent, mate. But it's just in that grind, It's just that mindset. I could just see that weakness for one split second and knew that if I gave it everything that I got, we could still get there. And just he hates losing, mate. Hates it.
So your competitive edge is still with you in your 50s, right? So that's two things. What are a couple other things that you still non-negotiables? Is it around food? Is it around sleep? Is it around social connection?
Still by boxing. I'm still boxing. I still want to box. Still love boxing. Again, same sort of thing. I don't want to really go to masters yet. I still want to box with kids that can throw them. And there's a different edge in boxing, and it's the psychology of exercise and what included in that is boxing that I love more than the physicality of it. And I think that's in The Biggest Loser too. It wasn't whether they can run a kilometre in 5 minutes or 7 minutes. That didn't matter to me. The physicality wasn't important as the mindset and the sentiment and the effort that went into the psychology of what they're doing. And it's the same now with my clients day to day, whether it's Daly or Lane or whoever it is, or just Joe Average. It's the psychology goes in behind it that I find most exciting.
So would you
They want it to win, they want to be better, they want to sacrifice whatever it is that you're doing to get a reward at the end of it. It's that. And it's the same.
So you've got a mentality to this day where you find ways to be better than you were the day before.
Yeah, still want it even hard, mate.
In some way or
better anymore. I'm going backwards.
Yeah, but some way, right?
My son's pokes me every time we're going surfing. Bang, goes, oh, Dad, you see that snap I did? I think I beat you. I'm going backwards, but I'm still there with him.
Yeah.
The funny thing, and you'd appreciate this. So I got my two boys and my daughter, we've all got scooters. We drop in at the skate park and we're jumping. I'm still jumping in the ramps. I'm still got, we've all got helmets on now, which was highly uncool in the 70s and 80s. And we made it this far without helmets, but, we've got to be an example to the kids. So we got, and I can see other dads there look at me going, what the hell is this bloke doing?
Yeah.
Scrolling on their phones, popping an eye up with a kid, where I'm living in the moment, I'm buzzing and I'm getting energy back from my kids. They're going, Dad, you got to try and drop in, or you got to air in, and bang, we're out. So we get out together, and you can see the people looking almost down the end of their nose at me like, what's this guy doing here? What a loser. And I can think to myself, mate, I tell you, the loser is the bloke sitting there on his phone, talking to his virtual friend,
with your kids,
talking to his virtual friend, doom scrolling, without engaging your kids. You get home and you want a medal for going, oh yeah, I took my kid to the skate park today. Yeah. You didn't really. Yeah. I'm still taking my kids to the skate park. I'm going to keep going as long as I can. And that is on motivation. Yeah, we have the most amazing connection because of that. We have conversations that other dads would never have. Is being involved in that, being present in that moment.
I've got one more question for you because we've tapped out the time, but and we'll do this again because it's an easy chat with you.
Yeah, good fun.
If you're going to leave people at home with just a philosophy that you've got that will help them going forward around health, wellness, around longevity, it is called the Longevity Lounge that we're sitting in. Is there something that you think that would be good for them?
Absolutely. Just take that first step. Most of my clients now, and it depends on what you want. If you're sitting at home and you want to give up smoking, well, give up smoking. But obviously my advice is around people's health, wellness, and longevity. Get out and get moving. You've just got to take a step. Most of my clients don't run anymore. Most of my clients are walking. Get on an app. Walk a distance. It might be 5 kilometers, it might be 2 kilometers, it might be 1 kilometer, but just bloody start and go. Get on your app and see how long it takes you to do your distance, whatever you choose. If you've got 5Ks in you, please do 5Ks. That's better than one, but one's better than nothing. And see if you can't improve that time that it takes you to do your 1K, your 2K or 3K. Just get faster. Do the same thing, faster and faster. Still, the gold standard for body fat loss and improvement in composition is fast-paced walking over extended period of time, constantly or consistently.
Anyone can just
still the gold standard worldwide. You've got a scientific research paper that will try and say dismiss what I'm saying. Yeah. It is the gold standard. So get out and get moving. Once you get moving and you can walk fast, it's going to open your mind. Once your blood pressure's down, your resting heart rate's down, you're starting to feel better, you've lost 2 notches off your belt. All of a sudden you're going, mate, there's something in this. Mate, once you feel comfortable, once you feel empowered, get yourself to a gym. Get online and get some dumbbells at home. If you too feel embarrassed to go to a gym and you don't want to be there, get some dumbbells or something at home. Get online and just literally, and we spoke about this, ChatGPT. I'm doing a course, I'm a pen and paper type of guy, that old school with everything, except I'm doing a course on ChatGPT. You can get online and go, give me a program for a 65-year-old man who wants to maintain muscle, increase strength. I've got a bad knee and a bad back. Go.
Yeah. And it'll knock it out in 10 seconds for you. Yeah.
Now, those programs aren't infallible.
No.
I go through it and have to change at least 50% of it at the moment because I've got an expert eye to cast on it.
That's a good little start.
It's a good starter, but don't take it that's the best thing for you to do. You must still seek professional advice to make sure that you're doing things correctly and with all your underlying issues, that's the best thing. So my advice is just get out and just get moving. Make a start.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you muck it up, pull your little socks up and get back to it. You know, we don't need someone mollycoddling us along and going, it's all right, the way you are is fine. Shut the hell up.
Right, on that note, and the fact that your email address is Harden Up,
Give that, mate. That's in my book, Harden Up.
thanks for your time. Happy Shane, absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, mate.
That's the pod.